Good morning, everyone. We are going to get started here in a few minutes. I have a couple announcements to get us started off, and then we will bring Paul up to the stage. Please feel free to help yourself. There are bagels and coffee and bacon left. Welcome and good morning. Thank you for braving the parking situation and coming out here this morning. We appreciate it. My name is Michael Roventine. I'm one of the directors of Social Media Breakfast. We appreciate having you here. Hashtag has been up there a little bit. Feel free to hashtag any observations or questions. We'll keep an eye on that. I know Paul's going to do questions throughout. I want to thank our annual and in-kind sponsors. Luther Automobile Dealerships, please give them a round of applause. As well as Stanley's Northeast Bar Room, there are bacon sponsors. Skelly Video Productions, Molecule Marketing, Sterling Cross PR, Muddy Paws Cheesecake, The New, and Make It MSP. Let's give them a round of applause as well. They help make this possible, keep ticket prices low, and help us keep going. So we thank them for their support. We are streaming. We'll be tweeting the link, and it will be on Facebook as well very shortly here. Powered by Skelly Video Productions. Show of hands, who's here for the first time? Excellent, welcome. We hope it's not your last. We have been doing this very thing, connecting people and ideas over coffee and bacon since 2008. So we are glad you're here. Go to our website, SMBMSP.org, and you can find out about upcoming events, sign up for updates, and all those good things. We have, oh, come on. There we go. Very sensitive clicker today. Hope you consider joining us next month right here in this space, 22nd of August for social media case studies. We get 2 or 3 local case studies together. These are always really popular and fun events with a range of takeaways and things like that. So we'll have information about what the case studies are and registration within the next couple days here. So you can check that out online. And then we have a partner event to promote September 18th. There's a luncheon by the Minnesota Talent and Recruiting Network. So Steve, raise your hand there. So Steve can answer more questions about this, but there's a luncheon from older worker to retired, how to re-engage, employ the Encore career candidate. That should be really good, and you can register at mntrn.org. and find out more information. And again, if you have questions while you're here, Steve can answer those. So, without further ado, we are going to, there he is. Hi. We're going to bring Paul up when he's done taking a picture from the back of the room. Paul DeBettignies has been a friend of SMB since the very beginning, and that's where we met. And he's been on this stage many, many times. They're always our most talked about events. He's talked about everything from just how to get your next gig to how to hire the best talent to optimizing your LinkedIn and lots of things in between. So we're going to welcome Paul to the stage. And again, he's going to be taking questions throughout, right? This is the stage right here. It's a conceptual stage. You good? All right. Paul DeBettignies, everybody. I don't know. You could ask if they're willing to answer.
Hello. Michael, I have a question for you.
Yes. Yes.
So back in the day,
Am
this is a really stupid question to ask, by the way, who has spoke the most?
You.
It is still me?
It is you, yes, it is still you.
Yes, I got my title back.
I think we're on 8 or 9.
It's like 6, 5.
No, it's
yeah,
gotta
but
be.
this is
If you consider panels, I think we're on 8 or 9.
Greg Swan, if you're watching, I want to beat you.
It's neck and neck.
So I need a favor, okay? I can hear it.
You're okay, we got it. No, you're good.
Please ask questions, raise your hand, tell me to shut up because you got something you got to say, like, how did you do this thing, okay? I do not want to just, like, gab for the next, 70 minutes or whatever. and have you go, oh crap, right? So ask questions like, let's get involved. I haven't been to this is a sad disclaimer, I haven't been to a social media breakfast in 3 years until today. I used to come every month, but then back in 15, 16, I was at the startup when I work, and I was driving to St. Paul every day, even though I live 4 blocks away. Like I got out of the rhythm of being here, and there are so many people I haven't seen in 3 years. And where'd David go? And I haven't seen you. It could be 10 years. So I'm like, I feel like I'm already home amongst friends and new friends, okay? So laid back, casual, I'm gonna swear. Sucks is my favorite word. If you're offended, sorry. Michael, I'm sorry if I offend someone. Okay?
You're fine.
Stuff about me that, whatever. I've been recruiting, it's actually 22 plus years now, which makes me, I just say 20 plus. I'm also on a countdown to 50 now. 344 days, is that how we had it figured out? Because there's a leap year. 342 days to 50. I'm counting, can you tell? It's a little weird. But I've been recruiting mostly in the tech space since 2012, focusing mostly on startups, small tech companies that don't have a recruiter and HR person on staff, or larger groups who are doing, like they need to build a new group and they don't have the time or a dedicated recruiter to be able to do that. This is who I'm working with right now. I should give them a plug. New Lion Labs is an agency in Uptown focusing mostly on creating MVPs, minimum viable products for startups and entrepreneurs. Evereve, the women's retailer out in Edina, 80-some stores, fantastic group. ADX Labs, you have not heard of them, so don't worry about that one. They are a company that's prepping for a big event in a year or two. They have $100 million in revenue, like 9 siloed companies. It's crazy weird. They're moving into their old new space today. They renovated 3 floors of the Canadian Pacific Railway building. Everybody's looking at me like, who the hell is that? Doherty Business Solutions, technology consulting company in Bloomington, based in St. Louis. The next slide, I think, is my favorite slide. Oh, yes. In all of my years, I was never able to do this. For years, it is not photoshopped. Can you tell? It's me with the axe. Are there any Badger fans in the room? You were the focus of the rest of this presentation. The cool thing was that she was nice and polite about it. Because have you ever been around a Badger fan like, yeah, I am? And you're like, are you sober? No. See? You know. That's coffee, right? There is no bourbon in there. I'm just kidding. Okay. So laid back, casual, okay. I am at some point going to move over to my laptop and try to do some stuff live and pray. Oh wait, I didn't hook up to the internet yet. I should probably do that before long. I want to start with where the economy is to kind of like lay a foundation for what's on my mind. One of the things is that I have been, when Michael and I came up with the idea for me to come back, I have a fear. But I didn't want to like write a fearful like, hey, you should come to this because the world's going to crash. So like, let's be proactive about it. The economy is doing fine. If you've been in demand, you're going to be in demand. And if you haven't, it's about to get worse. If you have read earlier this year, 3M Q1 earnings sucked really bad and they're laying 2,000 people off globally. Those layoffs started this week. So while the economy is great, there's still stuff happening. And so that was like, and even the little hair in the back of my neck is creeping up right now because it just has me a little bit concerned. So that's some of the foundation to this. The other part is that you have groups like United Health Group or specifically in Optum who are hiring 110 over here and they're letting 30 go over here, right? We have people in the room who are like, hey, I haven't had a promotion in a while. How do I angle at getting one of those? There are a bunch of consultant folks like me who are like, how do I get more competitive in my space, gain more business, okay? So that's the thing of it. So GDP, this is like a little economic 101, in Q1 was 3 something, meaning the economy was doing really well. Part of that was because the economy heated up because of the fear about tariff and trade. Lots of companies bought things, stored things, put them in the warehouses. GDP for this quarter is thought to be 1.8. So the economy's still doing well. It's just not going to be doing great. And so I immediately start getting a little defensive in my mind because I've now survived 2 recessions as a recruiter. And you don't want to be a recruiter during a recession because you're actually the first to go, right? When the company is going to slow down, they're going to stop hiring, they let the HR and recruiter folks go first. So like I have this like night sweat now and again of the Great Recession of 2008 to 2010. Okay, so that's why I'm talking about this. The Beige Book. Beige Book comes out 10 times a year from the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve down in a few blocks away has our economy in the Midwest. The Midwest goes from here to Montana, by the way. I don't know how that works, but I guess Montana's got to belong somewhere. The economy is doing well. It is doing okay, and it is slowly muddling forward. Okay, so again, like I don't think there's going to be a recession. Let's be clear. But things may not be as busy as they were. Hiring may slow down a pinch, which is to say it's going to go from frenetic to really busy. And that's going to feel like a slowdown, right? So that's that context. Mid-America Business Conditions Index, that's a long one. That comes out of Creighton University. And they still have Minnesota as the leading economy in the Midwest. And they still see, even with trade tariff stuff, that we're still going to be doing okay. Their biggest issue, according to the companies that replied to their surveys, hiring. Can't find who they're looking for. So again, like the economy might slow down a pinch and business might slow down a pinch, yet companies still can't find who they're looking for. And so there's a mismatch, right? You hear about the talent shortage in like tech, particularly in the world that I live in. What we have is we have a lot of mismatched things. We have job descriptions that are looking for like a red circle and you're a blue square, right? And you're like, how the hell do I fit? And we don't. And so many companies are saying, well, we're just going to keep this job open until Wonder Woman or Superman walk through our door. And they will wait 6 months and 8 months to fill some roles. Meanwhile, you're like, hey, I'm looking for a new role, or hey, maybe something happened in the last weeks and I'm looking for a new job. And you're like, I can't find one, but the economy's supposed to be really good. So that's how kind of, again, some of the premise for this. Unemployment numbers, right? Last month we created a couple 100,000 jobs, which was great, but after the 3 months before that, it was a little bit lower. So I did a 2019 jobs prediction. You don't have to read that. It's just for you to, as a reminder for later. We'll be doing again a podcast called MSP on Deck. In 2017 for 18, we decided to be bold and make predictions like we were really cool podcaster folks. And mine was that for last year, we were going to see more turbulence in the hiring and the job market. We were going to see more companies hiring. We were going to see more companies laying off. Okay? My fearless prediction for this year is we were going to see even more of that. Now, that's not a really big, broad, big, bad prediction, but it's actually proving true, right? If Challenger Gray and Christmas, they're out of Chicago, there are more layoffs this year than last year, but there's also more greater numbers of hiring, right? So that's why I put the roller coaster thing on there. I can't say I stole an image because we're on video and it's going to be on the internet later, but I may have borrowed that from somewhere, I don't know where. My last economic thing is this. So for years, I've been posting recruiter jobs on my blog, okay? And this is not scientific, meaning companies are saying, hey, can you post this for us, okay? So those numbers on the bottom don't much matter. It was spring of last year, which is that, I don't know if that's gray or whatever, right, where it's 28, 20, 23, 38, 36, and then it took off. So that was hiring last year for recruiters, corporate recruiters. And then it spiked again this spring, and now it's been taking a bit of a dive. Now, so like, I'm a trend guy, meaning I don't look at any 1 month or any 1 quarter, but like I have a feeling. It's kind of like a gut thing now after a while. We're going to get back to normal, but normal's going to feel slow now. So that's why I have that theme in my head. The economy is still well, but if you're in a space where you've been having 2 or 3 companies reach out to you a month, it might be 1 now, or it might be 2 a quarter when it would have been 6 or 8. If you talk to the tech folks in town, they're not having this issue yet, right? The folks in product design, coders, DevOps engineers, CTOs, not an issue yet, okay? I hope it doesn't sound like bad news. Like, I don't want it to be like, oh. And it's kind of a heavy way to start a presentation. This is one of the things I want you to think about for today. At the end of this presentation, I'm hoping we're going to think about our online and digital files, or profiles, that now you look damn fine. Okay? So that's how I want us to think about this. Michael's taking a photo, so I'll wait. Because Michael, you look damn fine too. Let's be clear. By the way, where's your lady today?
Summer camp drop-off.
Damn.
I know.
Because I haven't seen her in forever either. All right, some of these themes. How many of you heard me do a presentation before? Shoot. Some of this stuff, you guys don't count. You count. I love you all. But there's going to be some themes that for a moment that are going to repeat from things I have said in the past. But for the new folks in the room, like, go Google yourself. It's not narcissistic unless you do it every day. Then you're kind of weird and you're a bit arrogant, right? But the idea is this, is that I want you to figure out where you're starting from. So like, log out of Google, open up an incognito window, do whatever you need to do, but go figure out if an employer, your boss, your VP of marketing wanted to go creep on you online, what would they find? Okay, because they're doing to you like you do to them. I just went through the whole online dating thing. Thank goodness there's a success story 7 weeks in. But like we're creeping on people all the time. We just forget that people are looking at us, right? So I want you to stop. I want you to assess where you are with things. Depending on what you're doing, and even just so you can squat on your own name forever online, go get your own name for your URL. Like, that's always one of the things I say, like, do something like that, do that this weekend. So I actually just dawns on me, I've got to go get it back. No one do this. PaulDeBettingSucks.com, I forgot to renew it. Come to think of it, I don't have my own name anymore either. I swapped, it was the whole, like, the credit card, right? Don't hate me, I get my domains through GoDaddy. I forgot my credit card expired, so some things lapsed. So don't you dare pick up. It is right now. But if you and your Badger friends, you already got it? Damn it. So I was going to suggest that if you're in the marketing space, if you're in a professional space, you probably want to have your own digital home, right? Go get your own domain name, build yourself a little website. If you don't do that, then you're going to treat LinkedIn as probably your hub, right? We'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. I think I have used this bike tire in every presentation since 10 years ago. It literally is the same one every time. You just bought my domain? Did you really? $12 and tax. So now I have to give you $112 in tax? I knew I shouldn't have said a damn thing. The idea is that if you're in the PR, the marketing, the SEO, if you're in a tech space, going forward, right, we're going to talk about how recruiters are finding people. Have your own, like, home online, okay? I'm not going to do like a whole thing on LinkedIn because we all know what we're doing mostly. There is one of you, though, and I won't say who has a headshot. Now pretend this wall's gray. And you look like you just got arrested. One of you has that headshot. Get rid of it, please. This is actually, by the way, I did for a year. My LinkedIn headshot actually was here. Because this brick wall is amazing, because it looks different, right? There's lighter ones in the back. But if, like, go look at your LinkedIn photo and pretend you're not you and think if you'd like it or not. Like, would you connect with that person based on their smiley face attitude, or do you look like you just got arrested? I like how some of you are actually looking right now. That's amazing. The headline that says, like, what you're looking for. So I'm hesitant to ask this question, and Michael, I'm going to ask the question anyway. Is anybody here with their boss? Okay. If you want to raise your hand, how many of you are looking for a job today? So I might steer this presentation a little bit and focus a little bit more on the job seeker, if that's okay. So I'm going to kind of flip this in my head a little bit, thinking about for job seekers, the consultants, and then I might back off a little bit on the stuff about like looking for trying to get ready for a promotion. Is that okay? Would anybody be offended? You wouldn't say anyway, right? Because it's Minnesota and we're nice. What I'm looking for, if you're looking for a job today, your headline should say SEO, like senior SEO, something, something, looking for my new role. Like say you're looking for a job. Like just say it. Sometimes it's hard on the ego, right? Sometimes it's, yes.
How can you say that on your profile if you're currently employed?
Well, you can, because then you won't be employed. I'm joking. So then you won't have to worry about it. It was a really horrible answer, wasn't it? I wouldn't do that. But there are some things coming up that I'm going to say for you to create that more digital trail. I always call it like you're leaving the popcorn in the forest to lead people to you. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. So I wouldn't do that necessarily, right? But the idea is like if you're looking for a new consulting role, like just say it. By the way, and now the hair in the back of my neck is standing up because I should be taking my own advice. I've got 2 client engagements that are ending in 5 days, and I have not yet said, and I've got some free time to pick up a new project. And I kind of know what I'm doing. Here's what happens. There's a bunch of you in the room I spoke to beforehand who are managing another company's social media profile, an entrepreneur, and it's the cobbler kid shoe thing, right? It's always the cobbler kid shoes who are most worn and beat up because they're taking care of everybody else's and they forgot about their own. And I'm guilty as heck of that. So while we're here today and for the couple of hours later today, and if it's this weekend, like go take care of yourself. If we walk out of a theme with this, right? And I've got a way to prove that one here in a moment too. Fill all the sections of your LinkedIn profile. Like stop like just sending invites to people. Like I think it's still on mobile. If you're sending an invite to someone on LinkedIn, you get the automatic template. You can't do anything about it. Hey, I'm creepy. Connect with me on LinkedIn. It's not what it is, but it feels like it. But like personalize them when you can when you're on the web. Hey, I met you at, I saw you at, I want to connect with you because, okay? Creep on other people's profiles because I know that most of you are looking at your LinkedIn profiles to figure out who looked at you. So, yes, ma'am. Yeah.
When you say creep on other people's profiles, do you mean crawl stealthily, or do you mean be a creep and be creepy?
Oh, creepy.
Please clarify.
So I'm saying don't have your profile on anonymous, whatever their current LinkedIn lingo is. I do this all the time, and I'll show you a little bit about. I'm going to do some live demos in a little bit, so I'm going to move over to my laptop. I frequently in my recruiting or my business development I do it while I'm watching TV. I will like do 50 CTOs in town of like software companies that I want to target and start thinking about working with, and do they need someone like me? And I'll click their profile. And the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next. I mean, literally while I'm watching TV. Usually sports too, because you don't have to think about it. And then I will, over the next day, week, every time one of them clicks on me, to me now it's not a cold call. So I want them to know, because if they have now looked at me just for a moment, I can be, oh, hey, Jane, my name is Paul DeBettignies. I looked at your profile on LinkedIn, and then pitch. Okay? So like creep. Like not in the bushes creep. Like on the street corner. Without sounding like a stalker. That sounded weird. Yeah. By the way, can you stand up for a minute?
Hi.
Sorry. Old friend.
Okay, thank you. My question is, for your LinkedIn profile, is it more like a resume dump, or is it keep tweaking it based on the job you're looking for?
And I'm going to let you answer. Tell me your.
Hi, I'm Brett Lampy. I'm also a headhunter in town. So you want me to answer this question? Oh boy. So Yes and no, depends. Oftentimes, I will encourage people if they have good quantifiable information on their resume. I think that's great stuff to put on your LinkedIn profile. But I think in your summary, you really need to talk about who you are, what you're looking to do, what the value is that you bring to the organization. Don't entirely make it look like your resume. I think you can take portions of your resume, throw it on your profile, but really, again, make it about you, who you are, what you like to do, what you want to do, what your interests are, things that people are going to maybe be a little bit more excited to talk about with you, and kind of makes it a little bit more personal than just a resume. So that's my thoughts.
Answer the question, please. Tell them who you are.
I'm Steve, and I'm with what Brent said.
Hi, I'm Christina, technical recruiting. I would agree with Brett actually, because I personally like more information in the LinkedIn profile because I like to see what all the experience and background is that someone has. Because I personally look at the different size of companies that they've worked at. I like to look at the different duties or responsibilities, things that they've accomplished. But in the summary, I like to see what are you looking for in your next opportunity or role, and what actually gets you excited and jazzes you, and what are you passionate about? So for me personally, that's kind of the informational section and everything that I want to look at. That's like in the whole resume-ish portion of LinkedIn, but in the summary, I like to kind of see what do you want to be doing in your next role? What are you targeting? So.
Now I will add something. So one of the things I do notice on resumes is people want to, they attach a 3-page resume. Most recruiters spend less than 5 seconds looking at a resume. So like your LinkedIn profile summary, that's the first place people go. They want to know, what are you passionate about? What are you looking for? So if your summary doesn't say anything, you're making the recruiter work really hard to find out what you're about. So make your LinkedIn summary kind of just that, a summary of what you want, what you're about, and then know that recruiters are not going to spend a lot of time dialing down through your LinkedIn profile if there's nothing on the first page.
Keywords, Paul. Add keywords.
Yes, sir. Oh, wait, no, I got you. Really?
I'm seeing a trend of emojis in like LinkedIn titles, subject lines. Is that a turn off or a turn on?
No.
Personally, Paul.
Don't do it.
Personal answer.
I'm not a big, look, there is a time and a place for a poop emoji. Your LinkedIn profile is not it, let alone any other emoji at this point. I just don't think we're there yet. I hope we never do. Like I wouldn't even put balloons, like I just wouldn't. The other reason why is, while it might be hip and cool for the space that you're in, maybe that corporate recruiter from that stodgy company thinks you're 12. So please, I have never been asked that question. So this is just a gut reaction, and I have like this almost repulsive no answer. Don't. Save it for Facebook, save it for Twitter. Sure as heck put it on Instagram, right? Oh.
So I just got a quick question. So if you are into like content creation and whatnot, like if you have some portfolios and all that stuff, would you recommend kind of spicing that up or just plopping that in?
I think we want as much info as you can give us. I want portfolios and links to things, and I want a PDF, I want a PowerPoint log, like anything, or everything might be a better way of saying it. I would suggest on LinkedIn more is less. So no, LinkedIn should not just be your resume, right? Like, I think it's also okay to have it not be so uptight, right? Like by the way, I saw a profile the other day. If you are doing everything in the third person, that was my first F-bomb missed, but I'll save it for later. Like, stop. Paul DeBettignies thinks he's the coolest person in the world. No. There's a time and a place for that. Okay, like, I also don't want it to be like, dude, and don't put sucks, right? Like, don't go that far away from this thing. What I always just try to stress to folks, and my recruiter friends do too, is make it so we want to connect with you, right? So that goes back to the Google thing earlier. Like, actually, like, step back from Paul DeBettignies for a moment, and would I want to connect with me in anywhere that I'm finding me, right? I get a lot of crap for the amount of sunset photos I post on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. If you don't like a sunset, screw you. I don't want to know you anyway. is sort of my mentality to it. I have people who say, but you post business and work stuff on Facebook, and it's mixed up. Yeah, because that's my world, right? I'm not black or white. I'm gray and blurry. LinkedIn, though, should be professional in nature, but I also don't think you have to be like, how many SEO experts are there on LinkedIn? There's got to be like 1 million of them, right? So don't be one of those people, like don't. There's that fine line between like trying to be Mr. or Ms. Universe and just being you, and you are good enough, and type mentality to it. Follow companies. Oh, yes. Oh, Michael, can you help me with this one? I'm getting winded.
Thank you. Hi. I was wondering, I have 2 different hats that I wear, and so I'm kind of looking for both opportunities, both in marketing and coaching. And right now I have both on my profile. Do you recommend doing something different than that? I mean, to be open to multiple things, because I do have sort of a portfolio career going on. So do you have any suggestions for that?
So you're telling me you have a split personality?
Yes, exactly.
Professionally speaking.
I try to hide it, but it comes out when I go onto LinkedIn.
So technically, LinkedIn's terms of service are that you can only have one profile. So from there, I think it's okay. I do. This is my preference, right? So I'm not everybody. I think it's okay that you're doing multiple things. A lot of them, some employers want to know it, or if you're a consultant, right? Like it's okay that you have, it's okay that you're doing SEO by day and you've got a startup at night, as long as your employer knows, right? I think it's okay to be able to talk about both. I think that slowly many businesses are getting to the part where they don't just want you to be a robot, where you fit in the box, right? I wrote job descriptions yesterday for a client, or a career page, and I'm thankful, and I'm like really thankful. They are saying like, let's not put job descriptions on our career page. The idea is, it's New Lion Labs, the group that I mentioned earlier. We're likely going to, for a while, try out not having job descriptions. Like we actually have them, and we just want you to contact us. Like if you are creating mobile apps, I don't need to give you 17 bullet points of every flavor that I need you to do. Odds are you already found us because of who we are and what we do, and you likely already can do the job. So that's like a software engineer. We have like senior software something tech lead. It's 4 bullet points. You like to manage a team. You want to be in on interviewing, hiring, and growing your team. And then if you want to know more, that's great. And above that's our tech stack. So everybody knows just like the flavor of what we do. I want to find well-rounded people who aren't just like everybody else. And if we do want to talk about even later on diversity and inclusion, we all aren't going to look and act the same. We're all not going to have the same backgrounds in history. Some companies, though, will look at you and maybe be like, oh, but like, is your allegiance split? I'm not you, but if you don't want to work with me because of that, then I don't want to work for you either. But it's also easy to say that in a good economy and not in a bad one. Right? Like if a recession hit, you'd have to pick. I'm going to just be this because you need to get into something, right? So I'm kind of aware of that thing. The post a status update 1 or 2 times a week might not be enough. For some of you, you don't do any, so I'm trying to get you to 1 or 2. For those of you doing 1 or 2, do 3 or 4. Okay? And I'll explain why that is in a minute. Because the very last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to like talk like recruiter, look at some profiles, give you an idea of like why it is that we may react or why we might call or email you first versus like number 50. Okay, so we'll come back to that. Okay, here's the part where I'm going to try this. I'm going to talk really slow for a second so I can get my, that. So the next 3 slides, if you copy and paste when you get the slides, copy and paste, don't click the link, because for sometimes it doesn't work. Copy and paste this link, it's going to start you with, here goes nothing. Oh no, I got this. What? hold on. Speaking of sunsets. What's that? Oh, hold on. Hold on. One moment, please. Did you ever think you were going to be an intern again? Just kidding.
What do you mean again?
Hold on. I should have thought about this a little bit earlier, Michael. I'm sorry. See.
You need to drag that over.
Yep. Yeah, great. Take a photo of me while I'm trying to get the internet working. Oh, sweet. If I want to get the whole page to go over.
There you go.
Oh. Okay, now we're back to it. All right, so if we take the, hey, by the way, while I'm thinking about it, don't stop talking. We're going to take a quick, does anybody here not know anybody? Like, did you come here today and you don't know a soul? Raise your hand. No, just seriously, raise your hand. Keep your hand up. Like don't be Minnesota nice. Keep it up. So that I can quick do something. For the next 20 seconds, if you're sitting next to someone who's raising their hand, turn around and say hello quick. So if I do that, and then I want to get back to my presentation. Oh, slick. I might know what I'm doing now. Okay. See, here's where I should play the Minnesota Rouser. Because you know. Do, 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 do. Okay, so now we're going to try another question. Some of you have met new friends. Raise your hand if you've come to social media breakfast and you don't know anybody. Slick. All right. So when you get the slide deck, okay, you are going to copy and paste that. Remember, I've got 3 slides. One's for marketing titles, one's for tech, one's for recruiter and HR folks. So the way I have this is I just did it by a few keywords, Greater Minneapolis, St. Paul. So whether you're thinking about this in the sense of your networking, you're doing business development because you're a consultant, you're doing a job search. This is the same concept, right? So if you want to now, I'm just picking anyone, and I don't know what I'm going to find, so now you found the VP of Marketing at Medtronic. Okay? So now you might want to change these keywords to other things. It might be Director of Marketing instead of like VP of Marketing or CMO, because that's how I have it set up. The way you do it, go to keywords, and just put yours in. Okay? For those of you who are not Boolean savvy, so that's why it says CMO or Chief Marketing Officer in quotes, right? You're trying to figure out what the title is of the person that you're looking for and realize that this is dependent on the title that they used. Okay? And my recruiter friends are nodding at me, so I haven't screwed this up yet. So far I'm okay. Right? So if we then go to, wait for it. Oh, I'm getting better at this. Oh crap, where'd it go? Don't laugh? That's not nice. Good Lord, why are you telling me to hit all these control things? Well, still, how the hell? Oh. That's not working either. Okay. I'm trying. You guys are not making this easy on me. Michael, will you have me back?
Maybe. We'll edit this in post.
Okay, now for the job seekers in the room. And we're gonna talk about how we're gonna get here. This is for recruiter and HR folks. So those are the keywords that I'm using.
Do you want to just say what those words are in case we can't read them?
Oh, or in case you're online and you can't squint. So HR or recruit, because whether you're using recruiter, recruitment, you're just trying to pick up the word. Although I have recruitment in there, you're looking for a headhunter or recruiter, okay? So you could change this to like VP of HR, CHRO for Chief Human Resources Officer, whatever you want to do. The idea being, again, if you're just trying to do some networking. So if you already have a job, and you're seeing that Granicus, which is a technology company in St. Paul, used to be called Gov Delivery. Gov Delivery got acquired and then merged with another group from a private equity firm, mashed together. Marketing and sales are in Denver, tech is in St. Paul. But if you're thinking, I want to start putting a list of companies together that I want to reach out to while I'm employed, because for whatever reason, maybe I want to get out, I'm going to start using this list. I'm going to start figuring out who these folks are. I'm going to put it into an Excel spreadsheet. Maybe I'm going to save profiles, however you're going to do it. I'm going to show you in a minute how to grab the email address in Google, okay? So again, for me, I actually do a lot of this. This is how I do a lot of my business development. I'm finding a VP of HR, a CHRO, as someone and saying, hey, I appreciate that you have a really fantastic recruiting team, but I spoke to your CTO and he says, y'all still getting your butt kicked. I actually don't say it that way, because that would be rude and they'd never work with me. But I will say, hey, I hear that you have a new project going on. Or I may say, hey, I understand that you're looking for an executive search firm to work on a role in technology. How about we have a conversation about how I can help you with this role? So again, whether you're doing a job search, business development, this is the same technique, you're just using it for different ways. Does that make sense? Did I lose anyone during this part of chaos? Meredith is saying no so hard she's going to break her neck, so I'm feeling good about this. The idea is that I think we only use LinkedIn for like when we really, really absolutely have to, and we don't spend a lot of time on it. We don't figure out how much information is really in there. So just those keywords, the search results are 11,424. So again, if you were to drop down and pick Best Buy, you're still at 105.
Is that past and present?
This is current companies. Right, so if you're looking for, again, if you're thinking about a tech role, senior tech recruiter Ashley Doyle. So you can have a current tech role, you could be really happy with it, but you're thinking, I want to be in something new by the first of the year. For me now, it's the end of July. I'm probably going to drop Ashley a note come September-ish. Be like, hey, my name is Paul DeBettignies, I'm a DevOps engineer. I really love where I'm at, but I either need to get closer to home or I've kind of tapped out where I can be, whatever my email is going to be, right? You know, attaches my resume, here's the link to my GitHub. Is my profile or is my persona one that you tend to look for? If Ashley's has time to be doing her job like she wants to, she's trying to pipeline candidates, right? Hunting and farming and recruiting, we're always looking to hire today, but we're always looking to hire today because we never actually built talent pools for what we're going to need down the road. The consultants in the room do this all the time too, right? You've got projects today. I clearly haven't farmed like I'm supposed to be doing, right? I'll be spending some time on that this weekend, clearly. But the idea being is that I do this all the time where I'm trying to figure out who are the next 30 CTOs in town I need to reach out to. And I'm reaching out to them usually 2 to 5 months in advance. If you're doing a job search today, this is all just pertinent now. So I'm just trying to make sure I can kind of cover everybody on this. Hit Control A, hit Control E. You guys are no help. Wow. I really like that I can come back and it's like old times and we just start like ripping on me. That's fantastic. Okay, so that was the LinkedIn part. So Twitter, again, the tweet 2 times to 4 times a week. Some of you are like, I do that an hour. I used to, by the way. I would suggest that I've been making a mistake on Twitter for the better part of 2 or 3 years. I am not nearly as active as I used to be. And the only time I post something is if I posted something and it's my content. I'm not posting events like I used to, except for that I was coming here. I am posting if like I'm at an event, but like I haven't yet posted your event in September from intern.
But you do post jobs on the intern.
Yep. So I do constantly do the networking of like helping my recruiter friends and companies find other recruiters. It's just, I do it for free, right? But if I look at my Twitter stream, it actually is almost all sunset photos. It's almost all non-work stuff. Every now and again, though, I have someone say, hey, are you working or are you recruiting as hard as you used to? Too many sunset photos. So you'll note that if you go into my Twitter or Instagram feed, there are times when I take a photo of my laptop on the dock with a sunset in the background, because I swear I'm working 50 hours a week. I stopped talking about it. And that's the part about this presentation today, about making it so that when someone sees my profile, in my case it's a CTO, a startup, or a founder at a startup. So when I was going through these slides last night, I was having some self-reflection of my own, right? Where I haven't done a great job at managing me. Some folks will ask, should I have like multiple Twitter accounts, work and personal? I can't even manage me, clearly. So I can't imagine doing 2 of me. Like that would suck. I said follow the cool kids. I have 3 lists here. Again, when you get this, Minnesota Tech members, for those of you who are in the technology sphere, it's about 240. It's like Casey Allen, who's a friend of mine who just did Enterprise Rising, put on an event. It's startup CEOs. It's Sharon Kennedy Vickers, the CIO of St. Paul, who has Techquity, People of Color Technology User Group. Like, so if you're into the technology space and you're trying to find some people to start following on Twitter, do that. There's folks like Scott Burns, who used to run Gov Delivery. He's now got a startup called Structural. The content that Scott puts out in a day about startup space, building a company, selling HR software is amazing, and I'm missing out on it. Here's the thing though, right? I also have to balance that I have a job, right? And I'm working. There's a girlfriend, again, or now. That sounded weird. Like, we have life, right? We've got kids, we've got baseball, we've got these things. But the Twitter sphere in Minneapolis and St. Paul, if you're following some folks in the social media space, the marketing, PR, and the tech space, is really robust. The flip side is I know they're creeping on me and I don't have anything for them to look at. So there is this thing of I need to start taking some of my own advice. Every social media breakfast I've ever done, somebody walks up to me afterwards and says, Paul, you give really good advice you're not taking. And that'll kick you in the butt really hard. The second one is a list of Minnesota recruiter and HR folks. So again, maybe you don't need this now, but you can do it later. There's 500 plus in there. That is not curated. There are folks who haven't tweeted a thing since 2010. So it's probably really 300 people, okay? And then the Minnesota company career pages, Best Buy, Target, Ecolab, all have Twitter accounts for the careers. So you can take a look at those and flip through to find people to follow. Whoops. I frequently get asked, well, what the heck should I put out online? So again, if at the end we're trying to say, damn, you look fine, I'm not looking fine if we look at my Twitter account. I'm going to start going back to some of the things that I used to do. So it's the next month, who was here? Was Greg Swan last month?
Yes.
Who was here for Greg Swan last month? Okay. Did you post anything about Greg Swan being here? You did. Darn. I was trying to find someone who didn't. You're like, cool, because you didn't bust me. The idea is if you're here next, who's next month?
Case studies.
The panel. Next month, when you're here learning, tweet out, take a photo, promote those folks who are going to be on the panel or doing the case studies. Your next employer, your next consulting gig may go, hey, I was at Social Media Breakfast that day too, or B, hey, I appreciate that you're involved in the community, or C, I appreciate that you're doing continuous learning. That's what this stuff is about. It's not about being social media famous, because who gives a shit? That's not true. There are people who care, and I don't like them and don't want to be around them, right? This isn't about being infamous. This is about us taking care of our careers and our jobs and our consulting gigs and making sure that we are properly networked at all times in case I lose a client, in case someone loses their job. Okay? So go through that. And I swear, well, I will swear, but I'm not doing this as well as I need to be. Okay? One of the things I haven't done, this was part of my moment last night. So I use a site called Feedly. It's free. Well, there's a paid version, but the free one works just fine for me. Where I already have 409 sources for recruiting information, that if I had time, I could go in and read articles, right, and be caught up on the industry. But I even stopped tweeting out articles that might help my recruiter and HR friends find some info. I stopped being a source of info. I used to be one of those hubs. I don't know that I necessarily am one of them anymore, or at least not as good as I used to be. Right, so I could just go, and maybe I will do it later today. Which social media recruitment campaign have you most been impressed by? I should just copy the name, copy the article, put it in Twitter, put it on LinkedIn, add the URL, and put something out in the universe. Maybe some of my friends will read it, maybe they won't. Say that again? Feedly, F-E-E-D, feed, as in feed me some bacon. Feedly.com. But the other part is, and I don't want to pollute the Twitter stream with a bunch of things and annoy my followers, but I would bet that if I'm doing this a few times a week, the next time a potential client's looking to figure out, do they want to use Paul DeBettignies, known as MN Headhunter on Twitter, they'll be like, oh, he's in tune, he knows what's going on, he's connected. I actually have this fear that people are going, what happened to you? Your facial expression, by the way, is exactly how I feel. She just went ugh, and I'm like, no, that's just how I'm feeling about me. So that was awesome, by the way. If I could have taken a photo of that. So So this is this idea that I think that during a really good economy, I've gotten a little lazy. I've gotten a little stale. So just something to think about. And then some information to back it up. 35% of employers less likely to interview candidate applicants they can't find online. It now freaks me out if I can't find you online. You're either a bad person or in witness protection. Right? Because it's weird now when you can't find someone online. Sidestep, 20% of technologists are believed to not be on LinkedIn. But they're on GitHub, they have a portfolio, they're on Stack Overflow, they're on Reddit, they're on wherever they're hanging out. So they're still online, they just might not be using the tool that I would really want them to be using. These are some survey results from like late last fall, I think. Candidates' background information supported job qualifications. Candidates' personality came across as a good fit with company culture. Candidates' site conveyed a professional image. This is what employers are asking for. They are saying that they are looking for. It's validating that they're making a good decision with you. We should give them the stuff that they want. So that, again, going back to the damn you look fine part, did you fall in that category?
What are your thoughts on private versus public profiles on like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram?
Okay, so I am now reconsidering my social media stuff because my now girlfriend, 3 kids, I think about some of the security-ish stuff. Some of you will know that so many years ago, and you will enjoy this, my Badger friend, the Gophers were getting their butt kicked by the Badgers, and I was at the Dome, sitting in my seats, and I was dropping F-bombs. Non-stop. I was pissed, I was sober. Maybe that was the problem. On Monday morning, I get a message from 3 of my national HR thought leaders who are like, do you think that was a bit much? I'm like, no, I was pissed off. The next day I picked up @Gophers on Twitter. I only tweet about Gopher sport. That's not true as much anymore. I just don't swear on my account. I do swear on that one. I haven't used it much in the last couple of years. If you're just curating a certain group, certain friends, it's okay to have a private Twitter account. I can certainly understand having a private Instagram account, and then particularly if you're a woman. Like I think about these security things a lot. You know, when I was a single dude for a long time, I didn't care. Although I did normally post something when I was leaving someplace, not when I got there. No one needed to be able to like, hey, I'm going to meet you at the bar. No, actually, I don't want to see you either. Okay? There is the thought about, should I hide my Twitter account when I'm doing a job search? Because maybe there's some stuff, maybe you've been political, maybe you've been active. I don't have a good answer for this one, by the way. And every time I bring this up, someone gets pissed at me. But I'm going to go here anyway. I am a middle-of-the-road person when it comes to politics. When it was then Senator McCain and then Senator Obama, I didn't much appreciate either candidate. Some of this was good, some of that was good, and I was tweeting a storm. Probably wasn't such a great idea. And I have not really tweeted much politics since. However, if you really believe in a cause, you really believe in one side or another, one candidate or another, just be aware that people are judging you on that. And by the way, I think that sucks. I should be able to say that the Badgers effing suck and not have someone get angry about it. I think it's okay to say I don't agree with this person's political views, or I do agree with that one's, and not have it be a thing. There's 2 amazing, very liberal technologists in town who took me to task on this. And they said that they believe that they should be able to say what they want. And I said, that's great. And then they actually said, and I don't give a shit if they won't hire me because of my views, and I didn't want to work there anyway. There's something to that. There's also something about being able to say that in a good economy versus a bad one. Because if we were in the middle of the Great Recession again during the upcoming election and you're tweeting stuff, you might be alienating some people. That's a really long answer to your very not so complicated question. Does that help? A little bit? Okay. Because this one's been a hot topic and it's only going to get hotter as we get closer to the next election. Right? People are going to get charged and people are going to say things. Quite frankly, I don't care. Can you code? Because if you can, come talk to me afterwards. Kidding? No, actually, I'm not kidding. Sometimes we get really stuck on whether we're doing my business development, someone's doing their job search, someone's trying to network, and we're really thinking about the same companies that everybody else is thinking about, right? Best Buy, Target, 3M, United Health Group, Optum, Jamp Software, SPS Commerce. There's a lot of really good companies in our town, in our region, that then we don't know about, okay? I went through the Inc. 5000 and I have hopefully I can pull up this little study. By the way, I'm not really looking at my phone because I don't care. I'm just trying to look at the time. So if you're in the technology sort of marketing, PR space, Tech.mn, Mini-Inno is a sister group now to the MSP Business Journal. They're only all tech. What happens is that when I get in front of a group of you folks, though, and I'm a technologist recruiter, understand that startups will need marketing people, they will need sales people too, they will need PR people too, they will need content people too, maybe just not today. So again, if we go back to the keyword sort of search for before and you start doing CTO searches or founder searches, start making friends with the startup folks now because in a year they're going to need you. And odds are is they haven't built a network ahead of time. Two, for the consultants in the room, they need help now 10 hours a week. And I'm reminded to hold the microphone down here because I can hear it. Google for Jobs, Google started indexing jobs, has their own version of a job board. It is aggregating much like Indeed does, but like on a macro scale. It's doing a way better job than I would suggest that any of the other aggregators are doing. So if you just go to Google, they've got their aggregating there. Again, Angel List, Stack Overflow tend to be tech related. Indeed, obviously that's for every job, every category. Best places to work, so what the Star Tribune came out with there, the Business Journal came out with there. There were groups on the list I don't know. And I don't pretend like I know everything because I'm not that smart nor cool nor have that much free time, but there was like a third of the companies I'm like, I don't think I've heard of them. And so when we're thinking about who do we want to work with as a consultant, who do we want to work with as an employee someday, get out of the box of the same company brand names that everyone's always thinking about. I don't know what's next. Oh, okay. Okay, this is going to be good or bad? We'll find out. Yes, I am sharing the slide deck afterwards. You're welcome. Okay, so if I do this and do that, stop. Can you tell I'm not a shortcut person? Okay, hopefully I left these windows, oops, yes. Okay, so last night I'm like, I wonder if this is gonna work live, and I'm like, I don't really wanna do this live because it could suck. So the Inc. 5000, I think there were 70 or 80 some companies on the list. I did not know what Snap Agency was. So in one sense, right, I was thinking about this from my consulting perspective. Is this someone who needs to hire technology related people one day? But this also could be your job search now or later. So this is sort of how my brain works. Enjoy the ride. So I went to the profile on Inc., found the Twitter account, found the website. Went to the Twitter account. And I'm like, oh hey, I wonder if they'll be at social media breakfast tomorrow. Because it's kind of that sort of a feel of a company to it, right? I don't know who they are, I'm kind of curious about them. And I figure anybody who's talking about chatbots, I'm kind of curious about that right now. So I went to the website. I'll spare you some of this. I just was looking around and I was thinking, well, what happens if I'm trying to figure out if they're hiring? So we got some profiles. We'll come back to that in a moment. And I scrolled and I scrolled and I scrolled and I scrolled a lot. And then I was a little pissed. I think, by the way, Snap Agency needs a phone call from one of us because there should be a career button page down here somewhere. There isn't. However, there was under menu. However, they're not hiring at this time, but please keep in touch. Most of us stop here. Do not stop here. They're not hiring today. Doesn't mean they're not going to hire tomorrow, next quarter, or next year when you're looking for a role today, next quarter, or next year. Because if I've gone through the ink thing, the profile, and I've gone on the website, and I'm like, this sounds like something I want to do or someone I want to get to know, like I'm suggesting to you to keep going. So this is George, the CEO on LinkedIn. I hadn't thought about this till just now. We could critique his LinkedIn profile while we're here. See, that whole third person thing, George, I hope you're not going to see this. I think my LinkedIn or my recruiter friends in the room, while granted he's a CEO, would actually wish that there was more content here. Just while I'm here, we can critique somebody, right, who's not in the room. Like, it would be cool to know more about what he's done. One thing I note that this is going to parallel two things, by the way. This is me as a recruiter now. Let's say he wasn't a CEO. Remember I was saying if you were to post some LinkedIn updates, the things you did, the things you're reading, I as a recruiter could go, if he was not a CEO, is this someone I want to talk to? Is this someone I want to recruit? The number of times I go to LinkedIn profiles and they've never posted a status update is weird to me. Well, what are you into? Are you paying attention? When was the last time you were on your LinkedIn profile? Right? If someone doesn't have stuff, I don't contact them right away. I just don't. I'm finding the ones who do because I need to like hedge my bet about a conversation I can have with someone. Are articles still useful? I think most content people will say yes. I don't know a lot of us normal users pay that much attention, right? Because if you look at the numbers of the number of minutes spent on LinkedIn in a month or the last quarter, I would suggest that most people aren't paying attention. I think this is the part where the social media space, the marketing space that we're kind of living in, probably pays more attention, right? So anyway, I say this because I want to know what George is thinking, but by the way, that was it. 1, 2, 3 articles. By the way, I think I only have 2, so I shouldn't judge. His last update was 4 months ago. Maybe his laptop broke. Kidding. Swear, I hope George never sees this. But I would be making like, hey, is this someone who I wanted to talk to or recruit? But if it's someone who I want to figure out if I want to work with one day, now you can start getting some sense of what you're looking for. But 2 is, it's the research you're going to have one day if you ever meet George. Hey, I saw that one post you had about your one thing on chatbots. Right? We're always trying to figure out ways to connect with people. This is one of those ways. Okay. Yeah. We're going to get to the email thing in a moment. Oh, this would be a great time for me to maybe have plugged my laptop in. Well, dang. Oops, give you that one. By the way, you ever want to watch the volunteers here freak out right now? Like, shit, how do we plug in his laptop? Is there a cord nearby? Just out of curiosity, has anybody ever done this at work in the middle of a presentation? And like forgetting to like plug in their laptop and it goes blank in the middle of the presentation? A couple of you are nodding your head. I'm guessing there's 3 of you who won't actually admit to it. That's remotely embarrassing. Michael, you sure you're still going to have me back? No, I got a smirk and a half a nod. I'm going to take that as a yes. While this is firing up, because I haven't asked this in a while, what questions do you have? Yes. Hold on.
Just keep us people who are looking to recruit in mind as well, because that's definitely, I know you're kind of focusing on people looking for jobs, but anything, like tips you have kind of on the reverse side of that is always really helpful too.
Say the question one more time, the last part.
Keep in mind those of us who are recruiting or looking to recruit in the future, and the best ways to find quality candidates. In fact, one of the questions I was thinking of is like, what platforms are you using? Whether it's Indeed, Glassdoor, ZipRecruiter to pull in quality candidates, or are you just kind of forgoing those platforms and going through LinkedIn?
I try to find I do spend most of my time not on LinkedIn, because I know most of my recruiter friends are spending their time on LinkedIn. Right? So I'm doing it in the sense of, we're coming back. It's got a heartbeat. For my technology, product, design, digital, I am looking on, so a little bit on LinkedIn, right? But it is AngelList, it's Stack Overflow, it's GitHub, it's Reddit. It's like another 6 sites where technologists are hanging out that are just blanking me at the time. I want to try to so I go fishing a lot, again, if you follow my account. By the way, the fishing has sucked on the dock this year. Oh, hey, look at that. Oh, we got to do this again? Oh, George is back. But I think about it when I'm doing my recruiting, I don't want to fish where everybody else has been fishing. Right? So if you ask a technologist in town how many LinkedIn messages they get this week, and here's the answer. They don't have a number, they don't know. And they're not paying attention because there's a lot of noise. So, Christina, where are you spending a bunch of your time?
I do a lot of the ones that you mentioned, but networking is also good too. Actually being able to speak in person to the technologist and going where they go and where they hang out and where they live, right? Because they get a million different hits on LinkedIn, and a lot of the times the recruiters aren't as engaged and don't, particularly know what they're doing or what they're into or what they like. So really kind of meeting up with them in person and networking, things like that. That's personally what I like. But GitHub, Stack Overflow, those two.
I have a question for you. So in our LinkedIn profile under our name, is it better to have our current title and company name, or to have it skill and value focused?
So on the experience section, it's going to be current title. And by the way, if you have a weird title, I might adjust it because there's no rule. Your company's not going to fire you, right? But if your title has 6 words in it, get to 2 or 3 of the most common ones. It could be just social media manager and then skip whatever else is coming after it. I will think of my summary section, right? So the way LinkedIn works, same way Google works. Keywords, buzzwords, acronyms matter. So I will find ways to work in the other titles, words, or phrases into the summary section, as long as it doesn't look like I'm stuffing it, so that one of us recruiter folks are doing a search. The odds of me appearing somewhere versus being at the bottom or not at all because I don't have those words, I'm going to do that for certain.
Yeah, okay. If I'm looking for something, should I get rid of that and say what I'm good at instead?
Well, part of it is if you're gainfully employed, it's kind of hard to, you get what I mean? There's this wiggle spot. Let me think about that and come back to it. And then, yes.
Oh, I was going to throw it out. Hey, So I just got a quick question. So I know LinkedIn, there's some formalities and all that stuff with recruiting, but I have a friend and myself, we kind of started our own necessarily kind of content creation business, and we want to help college students kind of our age kind of get more involved with companies and like for-profits and all that stuff around the Twin Cities. So as far as like a formality goes, I know LinkedIn is an amazing platform and everything like that, but how would you, if you were doing something kind of informally, like you wanted to get the word out about like, hey, if you do artwork, that's great, we want to work with you, or like all that stuff, how would you go about that in a sense maybe?
So if I think about how do I get the word out about me being a recruiter, right? I'm going to not quite use your example. So when people say to me, like, why am I posting like work stuff on Instagram? Because A, it's my job to be promoting my clients. And for me, that's every avenue possible. But I also know that I probably once every 3 weeks get a resume from a technologist who's following me on Instagram. Because they're like, oh, hey, something happened, or I think by the end of the year, or hey, you mentioned something somewhere, and I'm reaching out to you here. For me, promoting myself is I'm promoting it where I'm living and working. So that's why there's my Facebook friends, like my high school Facebook friends, not that I'm not going to say that. I don't associate a lot with my high school friends because I just haven't seen them in a long time. They're annoyed of all the work stuff I put on there, okay, and I appreciate that, but the number of Scott Burns, who's the CEO of Structural that I'm connected to, didn't see my post on LinkedIn or Twitter, and he's rarely on Instagram. This is the part where I'm having a hard time managing me. But I'm going to use all of the avenues and the channels available to be able to get out who I am, what I'm doing, and who I'm looking to help. It's not a direct answer. I'm going to say to you this, don't overthink it. Needless to say, by the time you start going through all of this stuff and you start finding them on Crunchbase and you start following them on their LinkedIn company account, and then you just try to find out some news and you find out, because you didn't on the Inc. list, right, but they have been 3 times named the best places to work. Coming back. So if they're publicly traded, what was the quarterly reports? If anybody in town knows about SPS Commerce, they have not missed an earnings report in 73 quarters, whatever the number is, because they post it, all of them, all the time. One of the slides that I didn't add in here, you can be an advocate for your company too. This was the idea for a moment, if I can, about how you're looking to get promoted, you're looking to make a place for yourself in your company. So take a photo of the ice cream social, put it on LinkedIn, and say we're hiring. If your CEO won an award, do that post. Tag him on LinkedIn because he's going to get the little blurb, right? So-and-so mentioned you. So it doesn't matter what role you have. It doesn't matter what you're doing there. The idea is that if recruiting is hard enough as it is, if I have advocates within my company who are also saying, hey, I'm working in marketing, we're looking for a new social media manager, like, thank you. And I'm going to do whatever I can to help you out along in the process too. I creep on everybody all the time, not you all here in a work sense, to be clear. If I'm going to meet with them, like I know as much about who I've got a meeting or a phone call this afternoon with a DevOps engineer, and I know that person's stuff, right? I want them, because they're saying, I'm going to be doing a job search Q4. They're talking to 4 other recruiters in town. I guarantee you I know more about them than they're going to feel comfortable with. But it's going to be way more than the other recruiters are going to know. To the question earlier that Steve had about finding email addresses. So again, you get back to George Lee at Snap Agency. If you were to, I'm sorry I'm losing my voice. If you were to do that one up there, if you did at snapagency.com, do the quotation marks with the asterisk with a few spaces in between because you're telling Google you're trying to find a search result like that. It's an email address. I can't remember if theirs was first. I think if theirs was just first name at. So I now have seen Snap Agency on Inc., creeped on them online, know everything about them that I can find, seen George's LinkedIn profile. It'd be really cool, by the way, if George actually came back to my profile tomorrow. Be like, hey, don't listen to this presentation because I told him that your LinkedIn profile sucks. But then I could reach out to George and just say, hey, when you're hiring or when you're growing your tech team in the future, like I want to talk with you. So I looked at him, now he's looked at me. I'm going to send him an email address or send him an email. So those are the 4 different ways to be able to do it. If you actually use Best Buy as an example, you have to go to like page 9 to finally realize it's first name dot last name. Because you're going to get sales and support and Burnsville store ad or whatever it's going to be. You got to dig a little bit. Yes. Hi, by the way, I didn't get to say hello earlier.
Another cool tool to find email addresses is Hunter through Chrome, and it's pretty accurate.
By the way, who are you?
Hunter.io. Yeah.
Say who you are and what you do, please, since I didn't introduce you yet.
I'm Heather Olson, and I'm involved in the creative industry in terms of helping employers find talent and working with job seekers.
I need to do this. I think I used to be really good at it. I think I'm still good at it. And I just we need to retrain my brain. I need a better job at promoting me without being one of those people promoting people. You know what I mean? Like the ones who are like all day talking about them and their stuff. I don't want to be that one anymore. My goal always has been, I want to be one of the 3 recruiters a CTO in town will think of when they're going to grow their team. I want to be one of the 3 recruiters that React developer wants to contact because they're looking for a new job. That's the goal. So this is the funny part. First note that I haven't updated this page. This is my Work With Me page since May. So this is the part where Paul needs to take some of his own medicine here over the next couple of days, and I should probably change this now to August. I didn't have a Work With Me page until 2 years ago. My site's been live since 2005, but I never said work with me, hire me, anything. I always just used like my online activity as a way to attract people. So that was a little late in the game, we all would agree. It wasn't until 4 months ago I came up with that. 22 freaking years to come up with a run-on sentence. But that's who I am and it's what I do and that's why you want to work with me. But it took me that long to figure out, do not be like Paul. Do not wait that long to come up with your thing. Because that's kind of silly that it took me that long to figure that out. And that it was missing. Because a friend of mine went to my Work With Me page. A friend of mine says, I think I would need you for your services, but I can't figure out why. Because it sounds like a resume. Why should I hire you? And I'm like, but it's right there. And he's like, actually, it's not. And I had an oh shit moment. Some of these things I want you all to be thinking about too. Wherever you're at and whatever you're doing. Because one day you're going to be doing a job search. Keep track of what you're doing by the quarter. Most of us, right, annual review. We freak out at day 363 because in 2 days it's our annual review and we can't remember what we did the past 363 days. Start creating your own brag book, whatever it is. So like if it's Christina, I've done this many hires, we've reduced search firm costs by this, we redid the career page, this is the before, this is the after. In your space without stealing company info, right? But if you create an email newsletter that went up 372%, you should write that down. Take a screenshot of the before and after if you can. Do we have time for a question or two?
Maybe just one.
One. Who's got the burning question that if you
And then you'll be around after.
Yeah, I'm sticking around for a good half hour. Was this helpful? Any one question? Yes. Hold on.
Where?
Hold on.
Neil?
Thank you very much for the presentation. As a creative, it seems as though there's a huge void for where to find good work these days. Innovation centers are being developed and ideas and things like this, but where do creatives find recruiters?
Where do creatives find recruiters? Do you want to take a shot at this?
Talk to me afterward and I'll send you a big list.
I think we have one more over here too.
Wait, you got an answer too?
Two more.
All right, so I'm a headhunter, right? I love it when people work through me versus going to my hiring managers. But I think for folks that are looking for new opportunities, oftentimes you can get stuck in an ATS or, you don't know who's viewing your resume. I'm a little bit more aggressive. I encourage people to try and go to the top or find maybe the hiring managers of a certain department or whatever it might be and reach out to them directly. But your reach out has to be quick. It's got to be concise about why you're reaching out, why you want to connect. And not say to bypass the recruiter, but I think if you can get to the people that are making the decisions, that's gold. I think that's the place to be.
So I used to have a presentation called Be Your Own Headhunter. We should be one of the tools you use. I didn't just call us all tools, by the way. Maybe I did. Whether you're a corporate recruiter or a search firm recruiter, but I'm going to go to a CMO and I'm going to go to a VP of marketing. My name is, here's my skill and background. Do you ever need help do you ever need someone like me to lend a hand? That's a bad message, by the way, but it's that tone. Like, reach out to folks.
Okay, so for those of us who are like me, currently working about 60 hours a week, I have 11-month-old at home, and I'm doing other things that I want to do. What are the top 2 or maybe one thing that we should be doing to focus on because we don't have time to actually do anything additional?
What would be the one thing I would go do tonight or this weekend? I would do 2 things. One is I would go get my domain name, even just park on it. If you don't think you're ever going to do anything with it, grab your name now. 2 is I would probably do a LinkedIn overhaul because it's still the one place, for better and for worse, that everyone's going to first. Look at your LinkedIn profile as if you're not you and ask yourself the question, would you connect with you? If your profile is aged, if you haven't done anything with it a while, if you're like, I haven't updated it since my last employer, or you're like George and you don't have anything underneath your titles, I would start there because that's still almost everyone's starting point. Whether they're hiring, looking to network, or whatever it is. I could go there first. Michael's going to turn off the camera now. I'm just kidding.
One more comment for you. George says to check your LinkedIn messages.
Check my LinkedIn messages? I'm guessing I have one that's been sitting there for a while. Oh, okay. Oh, like actually. Did he actually?
Yeah.
Shit, really?
Hey, let's give Paul a big round of applause. Paul will be sticking around, checking his messages and sticking around. We hope to see you next month on the 22nd. Check us out online for updates on all we do. Thanks so much. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Like the page for more information on Social Media Breakfast. Come meet some friends, good networking. You heard it's going to be on the 22nd, it's on Thursdays the rest of the summer, then going back to Friday. So hope you guys have a great day. Follow Scale Up Video here. This will be on YouTube later for sharing. And happy Thursday, everybody.